steady dying in the city that we like. Popping out a bang, hey, run these miles like track. Put these boots away, lights go on. You can see they eye, these niggas are spies. In the city that we fuck, in the city that we from. Seeing crackers walking with the bomb, young niggas stunning with the guns. Mamas always crying for their son. Same nigga acting like it blind, same nigga plotting with the gun. Niggas always asking for a dime, looking at 100.
Hello, and welcome to USA Podcast. I'm David Parker, your host, and that was All the Dawn. That is my exclusive artist that you will only hear on USA Podcast. So make sure you stay tuned. And I want to thank everybody for subscribing, commenting, and supporting this channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. It's Black History Month, everybody. So I want to talk about some of our black leaders that we probably have not heard about. We've all heard about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, and all of the peoples like that have made contributions to our history. And we read about them in school, but they're talking about taking our black history out of the school. So we're going to have to learn about our black history on our own. So today I want to talk about a couple of our leaders that we probably have not heard about. And I want to start with one by the name of William Madison McDonald. William Madison McDonald, he was the son of a former slave owners. And his slave owners were people who started the Ku Klux Klan. And he became the first black millionaire in Texas. And they gave him the nickname Gooseneck. So everybody know him as Gooseneck McDonald. Gooseneck McDonald, he was a Republican. He became a very powerful player in Texas politics. He became chairman of the Texas legislature, the Republicans. He also was a very, very successful banker. He started Fraternal Bank and Trust in Fort Worth. And it was one of the largest black-owned banks in America. During the Depression, his bank loaned money to white banks to keep them afloat. He lived on East Turl Street in Fort Worth. He still have a mansion there right now. When he died, his funeral procession was 2 miles long, and it seemed like a lifetime. He was buried in the old Trinity Cemetery, and he has a 4-story obelisk there. One of the things that he did was, he was also a Mason, and he got all the Masonic business transferred to his bank. And he had a lot of fresh capital in his bank, a lot more than all the other banks basically combined. And they actually had to seek his help and his counsel. He was from the party of Lincoln, the Republicans then. He made the statement that Democrats were trying to keep the blacks with the plantation mentality. He was very progressive. He championed a lot of causes that helped black people. And no one actually ever even heard of him. To be such a power broker, he had businesses, he had a lot of enterprise, he had newspapers. He was someone that we could look up to. So whenever you think of the first black millionaire in Fort Worth, think of William Madison McDonald, also known as Gooseneck. State Representative Reby Carey, who's 93 years old, was a neighbor, stayed down the street, and he recalled how William always looked out for his people. He was always trying to empower the black people, the black community, to always do better, to always look out for themselves, to work, to create businesses. These are the heroes that has been forgotten in history. People who was captains of industry. His bank, the Fraternal Bank and Trust, and it was located downtown Fort Worth, 3 blocks from where the convention center stands right now. So if you ever anywhere near Old Trinity Cemetery, stop in and pay your respects to William Madison McDonald, also known as Gooseneck, the first black millionaire in Texas, and he resided in Fort Worth. And I'd like to talk about another hero that resided in Fort Worth. A woman by the name of Opal Lee, a retired school teacher, counselor, and activist. A woman who is known as being the grandmother of Juneteenth. Because of her hard work and her persistent struggles, she was the driving force that made Juneteenth a national holiday. She was known for her tenacity in any cause that she put her mind to. At age 10, she moved to Fort Worth. Her family moved to Fort Worth. And they stayed in the 900 block of Annie Street in Fort Worth. And in 1939, 500 white people burned her house to the ground. This is something that she would never forget. And this happened on June 19th. That's the day that 500 vigilante white people burned her family's house to the ground. And she fought for many causes. She marched with many civil rights leaders. She is known as someone that you can count on. She was named 2021 Person of the Year by Dallas Morning News. In 2024, she received the Medal of Freedom Award for her persistent work in making Juneteenth a national holiday. She did a symbolic walk from Fort Worth to Washington, D.C., starting in September, and she arrived in Washington, D.C. in January. And she did this at 89 years old. Miss Opal Lee is someone that we should be proud of. Someone who stood up to power in adversity and never wavered, She showed us how peaceful protesting and standing up for your rights will get you what you want. When she made that journey, that symbolic walk, she went to meet Barack Obama, President Barack Obama, face to face to try to get him to make Juneteenth a national holiday. And her persistence finally paid off when Joe Biden took office, because in 2021, it was made official. Juneteenth had became a national holiday recognized by the government. Over the years, Opal Lee, she campaigned for Ann Richards when Ann Richards won the governorship. She was right by our side, fighting hard. She campaigned strong for Barack Obama. She campaigned strong for Joe Biden. She's someone, when the going gets tough, she's right there. She never runs. And that's why she was named Person of the Year by Dallas Morning News. So when you think of Black history, think of the forgotten ones, the ones that nobody talk about, the ones who stood up and fought and you never heard anything about what they did. Remember William Gooseneck McDonald, the first black millionaire out of Fort Worth, Texas. Remember Opal Lee, activist, teacher, counselor, out of Fort Worth, Texas. These are people we should be proud of. So I want everybody to take some time to look up Opal Lee, William Madison McDonald. They will make you proud.